Have you ever prayed with everything you had, only to feel like God isn't listening? Have you ever cried out, desperate for His presence, but heard nothing in return? In the middle of your pain, in the darkest of moments, did He feel far away? In the ER, it all happened so fast. One moment she was laughing, telling stories about her day, and the next, everything changed. The ambulance sirens filled the air, the bright hospital lights stung her eyes, and she felt her body slipping away from her. Tina, a mother of two, found herself in the sterile white room, cold and alone. Nurses rushed around her. Doctors shouted commands, but in the chaos, she couldn't escape the feeling that something was wrong. Something that went deeper than the physical pain. She had asked for peace. She had asked for healing, but where was God? Where was He now? Her heart raced in fear as she felt the weight of silence pressing down on her soul. Why, God, why do I feel so alone in this? The beeping of machines became louder. Each sound felt like a drumbeat, echoing her fear. She had prayed before the ambulance ride. She had called out to God, asking for strength, for comfort. But as the minutes stretched on, she could feel God's silence wrapping around her like a thick blanket. A silence that spoke louder than any voice she could hear. A silence that shook her to the core. Where was He? Why wasn't He answering? She thought of all the times she had prayed, through the years of raising her children, through the loss of her parents, through the ups and downs of life. God had been there, hadn't He? He had always been there. But now in this moment, in the cold, bright lights of the ER, Tina couldn't hear Him, couldn't feel Him. The silence was deafening. She looked up at the doctor as he checked the chart. Her heart was racing and her mind was overwhelmed with fear. She could barely find the strength to say the words, but she needed to ask, Is it too late? Am I going to make it? The doctor's face softened, but his words held no promise. We're doing everything we can, he said, his voice calm but filled with uncertainty. Tina closed her eyes and the tears began to fall. She had always trusted God. She had always believed that He was there. But now, at this moment, she wasn't so sure. Where was God when the storm was at its worst, when she was fighting for her life and all she felt was the coldness of silence? Have you ever been there? Have you ever wondered why God seemed silent when you needed Him most? Have you ever been surrounded by chaos, by fear, by unanswered prayers, and felt like you were drifting away? You see, silence doesn't always mean absence. God's silence isn't His abandonment. It isn't His refusal to care. It's not that He doesn't hear your prayers. God's silence is a mystery. It's the space in which He's holding you. It's the quiet whisper that assures you, even though you can't see it, He is still there. Tina's mind raced through Scripture, the verses that had always given her comfort. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. And then, in that silence, she remembered something. God had never promised us a life free from pain. He had never promised us that the road would be smooth, but He promised He would walk with us in the darkest valleys, through the deepest shadows. As Tina lay there, her hands trembling, she felt a hand on hers. She opened her eyes and it was the nurse, someone who had been working tirelessly to keep her stable. The nurse didn't speak. She didn't have to. The touch was enough. And in that moment, Tina realized something. God had been silent, yes, but He had been there. He was with her in the nurse's hands that held hers, in the steady beeping of the machines, in the quiet prayers of the people who loved her. He was in the waiting room where her family gathered in prayer. He was there. And sometimes that's the hardest part to understand. God doesn't always answer in the ways we expect. He doesn't always respond when we want Him to. But that doesn't mean He isn't present. It doesn't mean He doesn't care. In the silence, He's there, holding you, carrying you through the storm. It's in the moments where we feel most alone that He is closest to us. He is never more near than when we can't see Him, can't feel Him. That's when He is closest. That's when His presence surrounds us in ways we can't understand. As the minutes ticked by, Tina's breathing steadied. Her pain didn't vanish, but there was a deep peace in her heart, a peace that came from knowing even if she didn't understand, she was not alone. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. God doesn't promise to always speak in the way we want Him to, but He does promise to walk with us, through the silence, through the storm, through the darkness, and even when He feels far away, He's closer than you know.